All right, what's going on, everybody? Dave, what's going on?
Hey, buddy, I'm here.
All right, so first of all, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast you're about to listen to. We have the privilege to have Orlando Magic media member. That's right, Orlando Magic media member Aaron Goldstone. He's been on the show before. This is his second time on, and we're talking all things basketball. March Madness, we're talking NBA. Where does LeBron go? Lonzo Ball's a superstar.
Orlando Magic talk.
Yeah, so all things.
Okay.
He has a blog, OrlandoPinstripePost.com, so make sure you check it out. It's fantastic. And we want you guys to support him. And, of course, like always, support Locked In. And like I said, is there anything else, Dave?
No, that sounds great, guys. Let's get with it.
Hope you guys enjoy it.
All right.
We are live. Right in mid-drink of water. We are live.
I love it.
So
hello, everybody.
Okay, I'm sure, as you guys know, we have Orlando Magic media member Aaron Goldstone on. What's going on, sir?
What's up, Max? David, thanks for having me back again.
What's up, buddy?
It's been about a year.
Wow,
A lot has changed, right?
Been in a year, hasn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, I think the last time you guys had me on, it was like a couple days before the NBA draft. last
NBA
June.
draft. We were like in the back drinking like Kool-Aid on my back couch.
And we agreed on Lonzo Ball, right?
Yeah, I think so. I actually went back and listened to a little bit just to remember, try to refresh my memory what my locked in was because I wanted to keep track of that. And I think my locked in was the Chicago Bulls will trade Jimmy Butler to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that was like 3 days before it happened.
And he got it right.
So you got to listen to his second locked in.
The Tibbs factor, I don't know. So
Wow.
here we are.
So you have a post, OrlandoPinstripePost.com. You're obviously writing about basketball, correct?
Yeah.
And now you're an Orlando Magic media member. How's that been like?
Oh, it's been great. So I've been writing for the website for a couple of years, and this season in particular, I've been really blessed to get the opportunity to go and cover the games and get credentialed here and there. There's like 5 of us that write for the website, and different various factors. Some people moved out of state or whatever work, and so I was available, and I go and I do coach pregame conferences, postgame conferences, locker room access, the whole deal. So Wednesday, Magic's next home game against Milwaukee Bucks, I'll be there. So
What's the best part about going? Is it watching the game or the Mexican food that you can get there?
No, they have like
That Baja
an
is so
ice
good.
cream. They have like in the media room, it's kind of like this cafeteria where you kind of never know who you're going to run into, former players
I love
and
that.
front office people. But they have this soft serve ice cream machine with all the toppings and stuff that's like pretty sick. And that's
you go.
good. You get a meal ticket and they feed you and they take care of you. But actually, it's like the game, it's kind of hard work. I'm just kind of typing away. Very rarely am I actually like taking all in. So every once in a while, somebody will hit like a half-court shot during a timeout to like win, a free mortgage for 2 months, and the crowd will go crazy, louder than they do during the Magic game. And I'll look up and I'll be like, oh yeah, like I'm at an NBA game. Like I'm kind of typing and grinding, and you forget.
There's not a
how
lot
cool
of
it
cheering
is.
going on
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Orlando
Yeah,
right
What I
now.
wanted to say is, look, I appreciate the grind, and I think what you do is terrific. But in all seriousness, I'm not holding back. When you build a house, you start with the proper foundation. You don't just put up walls.
Right.
I think the Orlando Magic are trying to skip the process, if I can steal that from Joel Embiid. I don't understand what they're trying to do. And
No.
maybe you see something that we don't, obviously, because you're there game in and game out. What is the direction they're going in? Because when you think they're going with the youth and the draft picks, they trade players that they got through the draft. They're actually pretty good. You get rid of Victor Oladipo for
God, that
some
was so
water
horrible.
bottles. You get rid of...
And like it's all hindsight now about that trade, but when that trade happened a year and a half ago, I was like, gosh, this is awful. Like, you have to pay Victor. Like, I didn't think Victor would ever be this good, but I thought he was a really solid. He's a B- player. He plays defense, and you need to start somewhere. You have to keep some blocks in your team and just go with Victor, Gordon, keep going. You got to keep Aaron Gordon. We'll talk into it. We'll go into it.
I'm about to say, because even if we have so much to talk about. We have NBA, we have March Madness, but I really want to focus on the Magic right now because obviously you cover them. So, okay, even if you have Victor Oladipo, say he doesn't become the All-Star. This is back in time.
Sure.
If he's not the All-Star you wish he had, or he could be, he's still a solid NBA player.
Yes.
And you get rid of him. Then you get rid of Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
Then you sign in a three-point guard-oriented league. You signed two big men
Bisnick Biyombo.
that are defensive minded, and don't get me wrong, defense wins championships, but when you're not even in the playoffs, don't focus on the championship. Focus on getting the right, proper foundation. What are they doing? What is the direction they're heading in?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the GM and the president of the team right now, this is their first year. So all of those moves you talked about were the former GM, Rob Hennigan. He was a disaster. So
I yelled at him.
I met him.
I did too, and I
He was a
literally
nice
yelled at
guy.
him. Yeah, and he seemed smart. Like, I think
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he was book smart, but it's just like people probably called and be like, "Aha, we talked to Rob today. We're going to steal Victor from him." It's like one of those things. He just oh man,
the Tobias Harris deal was awful. Because they got two guys back, Brandon Jennings and Ilyasova, that were both in the last year of their deals. So you basically just gave them away for free. Oladipo was awful. I think he had just hired, Frank Vogel, and he knew Vogel kind of is a defensive-oriented coach, so they signed Biyombo, traded for Ibaka. They were kind of zigging, like you said, when the rest of the league was zagging, and they were going offense. The rest of the league and Orlando was going defense. But now you've got two guys that are just trying to figure out, what do we do with somebody else's mess? We can't fix that. We can't go back in time.
That's true.
I don't know if in the next year they're going to deal Fournier or Vucevic or whatever, but I think it starts with Jonathan Isaac because that's really the only guy they've drafted so far. The jury's still out on him because he's been injured this year, but he's a piece. If they bring back Gordon, he's a piece. They already traded Elfrid Payton this year, so
for nothing.
They're kind of in like a clean up somebody else's mess and rebuild this thing, but you got to get lucky in the lottery because nobody's going to sign with the Magic. Nobody's going there with no other All-Stars on the team. So
you say rebuild the Magic. How can you possibly say even rebuilding now? Because it's been since Dwight left, it's been rebuild. It's like you need to acquire some pieces, and you have to win trades. That's really what it is. I mean, draft picks are great, but you're getting rid of your draft picks now. The players you did draft, you're trading. So it's like if you're going to acquire players in free agency, you have to at least win some deals.
They've never really been a franchise in 25 years that have had a lot of luck signing free agents, maybe outside of McGrady. They've been like 1-2 ping pong balls away from getting, Porzingis was one pick ahead of them. They get Hazonia instead. Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, a couple picks away. So they've had some lottery not luck.
Misses.
Some clean misses. Some other teams NBA, like they tank a lot more effectively, and the Magic win some meaningless games, and that hurts their odds, and Magic Twitter goes crazy. But it's not easy for them right now. Like the whole organization, it's just kind of it's a long journey.
Two things. One, we'll jump into the Aaron Gordon, but we had a Magic. I went to the Knicks game that you were talking about.
More Knicks fans than Magic fans?
Oh, my gosh.
Sure. Yeah.
Without Porzingis, there were still more Knicks fans. Trey Burke was dominating in the second half, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this has hurt the Knicks' draft pick. I was so upset. But I went there. I was happy that the Knicks won. But I'm sitting in our seats. The wife got them for me for Christmas, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing all the not banners, and I'm like, who's the greatest Magic player ever? I thought it was a fun little debate. Of course, I did off script to him last show. I thought there was 4 people. They killed me on the Nick Anderson thing. I think you think, is he not even on the list? Like, I think he's got longevity.
Yeah.
And there got to be a top 4. Like, I just thought a whole Mount Rushmore thing. So I had Nick Anderson, Shaq, Tracy McGrady, and Dwight. And it was a consensus. 2 of us had Dwight, and 1 had Tracy McGrady. Is there some I left off?
Penny?
That's what everyone was saying. You can't leave off Penny.
Penny was good for like 2.5 seasons. Better than Nick Anderson in a Magic uniform. Not their career, like Grant Hill's NBA Hall of Famer, what he did for Detroit. Just as the Magic. Is Penny a better Magic than Penny?
Yeah, than
Nick?
Nick Anderson's got the longevity for sure. Penny was
you might be right.
obviously the core piece the couple of years that they had a run with Shaq, but even after Shaq went to LA, there was like 1 or 2 years where Penny had this series where Miami was like the 1 seed and Orlando was like a 7 or 8. Yeah. And he had like a 40, 15, and 8, like 3-game series. He was kind of like awesome. That generation's Russell Westbrook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so but he had injuries. What was it, like back, knees? The poor guy. He really would have been
so
a
if
Hall
you
of
have,
Famer.
Probably. I concur. But if you have the top 4, who's the number 1? Who's the greatest Magic player ever?
I mean, like Shaq and Dwight are Hall of Famers, but I mean, if I was going to, it's weird. If I was going to pick somebody, in a driveway, one-on-one, just for skill, I think Tracy McGrady was the best Magic player. Offensively, at least, didn't result in a lot of wins
Sure.
for Magic.
I was about to say,
He didn't always have the best team and everything. Like Grant Hill was injured, it didn't work out.
That's
but
what Coach Ham said. The state champion Spruce Creek
Yeah,
women's
congratulations,
basketball
Coach Ham.
said
Correct.
Tracy McGrady. So what's up, Coach Ham? Big up to you. So we kind of have two McGradys, two Howards.
I said Shaq is the best dominant force ever to put on an Orlando Magic uniform, but as
Yeah.
far as Magic career,
Dwight.
it's Dwight. It's almost like
Yeah.
LeBron in Miami is the
Du-
best player to ever play in Miami.
Like
but
Dwayne
it's
Wade.
Dwayne Wade
Mhm.
is the best Miami Heat.
You're right.
And that's the kind of thing. I think Dwight Howard is the greatest Magic of all time, but Shaq is the most talented player to ever. And Tracy McGrady is the most skilled offensively, but I would still take Shaq over Tracy McGrady.
He was getting 33, 34th. It was
dynamic
crazy.
scorer
But,
who didn't win.
all right. Old
So-
school. I got to go with Aaron Gordon. Like, this is a topic there's been so many rumors he can go to Phoenix, Indiana. There's places out there that want him. I want Orlando to drive the Brinks truck to his neighborhood, give him whatever he wants. Like, if he asks for a super max deal, it stings a little bit. You got to keep one guy. You got to say Gordon. And here's another thing, too. The Magic's always had a decent bench in a weird way. Like, even, how you say, Mendondas? Who's the...
Hezonja,
Okay,
yeah.
pretty close. You know me, I'm a wordsmith.
How can you say they have a decent bench? You can't pronounce the player.
Sometimes Aaron Gordon, I want Orlando to give Aaron Gordon 43 minutes. Like, I just want him to, you're the best player on their team, take over. Like, I really think he is a 20-8 player. I really do think that. And he's a little bit better passer than what people think. If he gets the ball in his hands, I know you'd be like, he kind of reminds me of Blake Griffin a little bit. And you got to keep somebody. You got to say, hey, guys, he's the last name we're going to say in our, names going out to the game. Like, he's the poster. Here's the guy on the billboards. You got to keep Aaron Gordon. Am I wrong?
I think it's weird with them. I think Aaron Gordon is their best talent. So, of course,
Yeah.
like what you're saying, you need to focus around him, but I don't
Yeah.
think they honestly want to do that. Like, I think if there was a better option that presented itself, they would take the better option. And I also think he's in a toxic environment where he can't succeed to his full potential because they had him playing more of a perimeter type player, right? For a little bit, playing that 3, but then you're saying he could be a Blake Griffin, which is more like a 4.
Yeah, I think he should be a 4.
So
I really do.
I think what the problem with him is that he hasn't been able to succeed because they don't really know. He doesn't know his own identity.
Sure.
It's-
Yeah, 4 years into his career, he's also had 3 coaches. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like there's been the whole organization is
Yes.
just completely unstable. But you're right. Last year, he played the 3. This year, he's played exclusively at the 4.
Yeah.
And he had like a little success. Like the first month of the season, he was like at the top of the league in 3-point shooting. And everyone's like, oh, he can shoot now. And now he's been just ice cold in 2018, for a few months. He's been injured in and out of the lineup. So he's had some health problems. And he's a restricted free agent. So no matter what team throws money at him, it'll ultimately be Orlando's decision to bring him back or not. And it'll just be a money thing. Again, the GM and the president didn't draft him. So is he their guy or do they
I
want to
don't
go
think he
somewhere
is
else?
a guy you build around. I think he's the best talent for the Magic, but I don't think that necessarily means he's a guy you build around.
He reminds me of Victor. Like, you could let him go. He's probably not an piece, or he's not, honestly, he's not a second piece on a championship team, but you have to keep pieces. If he's the third
keep
piece,
him. I'll
and
keep
then
him.
if Isaac does a Giannis, and then you get a
I
draft
don't
pick
see
this
it. I've
year,
been telling you, I don't see it. You've been calling it. I don't see it.
I still like Jonathan Isaac.
Just
I
because
still
you're tall
like
and
him.
athletic doesn't mean you could become it.
I'm just saying, you have to give him a shot.
Yeah, give
Let
him a
him play.
shot, but you're saying it like when he does become, it's like he may never become that.
My point is sometimes you have to overpay for the third or fourth piece, and then that could develop into something. If you let him go for nothing, now it's like you still don't have a piece. So even if you nail someone in the draft, he doesn't have a go-to second guy, go-to third guy. I think you keep him as a 4, young, athletic, and I always feel like it's a toxic environment. They're losing. So if you got a pulled hammy, you sit a little bit more. If they were winning 55 games, LeBron, he's playing every single game right now. They're winning. If they were losing a lot, I don't know. I just think people sit.
My last question for you would be, if you were able to get the general manager in the room, the owner in the room, you're able to sit down and have an input on what goes down, what would be your first move? Like, what would you tell them? How do you get this Orlando Magic team in the right direction? tough one.
I think they need more scoring, more skill, more shooting. That's just the way that the league is heading towards. Those guys that they signed like Bismack Biyombo, they don't really help you and do what they're supposed to do unless you have offensive players around him. The only year that Bismack Biyombo had somewhat successful in the NBA was his 1 year in Toronto, and he had Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah,
and so if you only tell him just rebound and defend and do nothing else, then whatever. I mean, he's not worth $17 million. But the point is they need more skilled people. Like at the beginning of the college basketball season, I know we'll get into it. I was like, Trae Young was born to be on the Magic. Like he's the next coming of Steph Curry and this and that. But he hit kind of a wall. And there's really not as many point guards in this draft as there was last year, where I think 5 of the first 9 picks were point guards.
I got a sleeper for you.
They need guards. They need skill, help.
Would you say you call up and make trades, or is that something you look for in the draft by tanking more?
I don't know what they could get accomplished with the trade, because I just don't think the players on Orlando's team are valued around the league as much as maybe they are even within the organization, because in the NBA they call them empty stats. Fournier, Vucevic, even Aaron Gordon on a bad team that wins 20 games, it looks great when you're scoring 20 points a game, whatever. But how does that equate to a
empty
team?
Stats.
In a playoff run. So I don't know how valuable their players are, and you've got to trade something to get something back. Like they had to trade Victor Oladipo to roll the dice on Serge Ibaka, which was awful, but
terrible.
But you have to give up something to get something, and when
It
you
doesn't
barely
sound right. You're just saying that.
Here's my problem with that. Serge Ibaka was on the last year of his deal, so they had 1 year to convince him to re-sign. They trade away Victor Oladipo, who was a restricted free agent. So like Aaron Gordon this year, you always have the last say. Serge Ibaka, he had the last say, and he's a veteran, and he wanted no part of some rebuild, and it was just awful. It was an awful fit from the beginning, and it was
He's a
just
good fit for Toronto.
Absolutely.
The worst thing is, just say if the Magic were good that year, just say they were 41-41, and Serge had like a little bit of a better season than he's ever had. He's going to ask for a super max money, and you're going to have to overpay for him. It's like, hey guys, you have Victor. He's homegrown. He's a Magic player. A wing is more important now than a big. It's just he's a good player. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense from the beginning. It was
honestly,
awful.
I think I'm about to go. Last point on the Orlando Magic that I'll say is
I still got a little sleeper point guard for the Magic.
I do is I get on the phone and I call. I'm willing to trade Aaron Gordon. I'm willing to trade because listen, you're not going to get free agents there, as you mentioned. It's just not an attractive place for free agents to go. They're poorly ran. So you have to start somewhere that makes a statement for other free agents to see. If they see another – because if you go there, who have you attracted so far with Aaron Gordon? Nobody. So if you trade him and get a valuable piece for him, don't just trade him just to trade him. If you get a good veteran that has a name to himself, that could possibly recruit other people.
Put a name there.
How much is he getting paid? Like, what would be a reasonable price?
He's going to get $20 million.
So there's a handful of people that would take a young, talented player for $20 million.
No, I mean, put a name. Who would you trade Aaron Gordon for? I'm trying to think. You keep thinking on it. I'll fill air. If you keep Aaron Gordon, pay him $20 million for 4 years, give him $80 million. You gotta hope Jonathan Isaac does pop a little bit. Okay, maybe he's never an all-star, but if you're a 12, 7, and 5 and a good legit defender, then you hit this draft pick. He is a legit defender. You hit this draft pick. They should pick. There's 2 names I'm throwing out there for Orlando right now. And hey, if Orlando gets 1, 2, or 3, you pick one of the stud big guys and you go that route. Sexton from Alabama, legit point guard, scorer. He kind of reminds me of Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And he literally changed Utah overnight. That's kind of crazy. A little Damian Lillard type. The second one is Collison, Darren Collison's little brother from UCLA. He's an absolute
stud. Aaron Holiday.
Aaron Holiday.
Drew Holiday. Yeah, absolutely.
So close, but so far.
Same school.
Yeah,
Collison
same school.
UCLA. Yeah.
I don't want to go too far. I know we're live. I don't want this to stick. I think we're recording on Laserdisc somewhere.
You have to go Trae Young.
No, definitely Trae Young, but Holiday has a bigger ceiling. Like, he's explosive, can handle the rock. He's got a little Russell Westbrook in him. Like, I don't want to go that far.
Watch your mouth.
I know.
You're saying Greek Freak, Russell Westbrook. These are 2 people you see once in a lifetime. Like,
I'm
these people don't live up to that.
He's going to get drafted at the 9th pick.
No, I mean, good lineage. Both older brothers are in the NBA.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, when you watch him on UCLA, he pops. I'm like, oh my gosh.
UCLA is a very good translatable like pro
NBA
system.
school.
A lot
Yeah.
of college
Kevin
systems,
Love,
it's hard.
Russell.
You know, so yeah.
And yeah, you keep Gordon. I just think you keep Gordon. You go through the draft for another year or two, and then maybe you try to sign a veteran defend. You know, I always say put a name to it. Maybe Chris Bosh wants to come back. You know, maybe someone like that. Maybe someone who's at towards the end, but still has some value.
Young players elevate. You get a good pick in the draft.
Yes.
You sign a veteran type thing.
Yeah, and now you have the end of the East is bad. You know,
Yeah, you don't have
the
far to
6
overcome.
through 10 seeds are bad. So all it takes is one. Donovan Mitchell is making Utah a playoff contender in the West. It takes one draft pick.
I'm just sorry that I'm on here to make you guys have to talk about the Magic for this long. I thought you'd give it maybe a minute.
Show
and-
respect. I'm
Okay,
always
we're done.
critical of the Orlando Magic.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we have an Orlando Magic media member here, so it's
Yeah.
only right to just say it face to
I know.
face what's going on with them.
I love
feel
Amway. I go all the
Girls First
time.
Creek
So
team would beat them.
yep. Oh my gosh.
They have that Mike D'Antoni
Close.
system.
It's close. Let's jump into March Madness, and then we'll jump back to the NBA.
Sounds
LeBron, Rockets, Blazers. March Madness. Okay, the brackets are out. People have been busted, bubbles burst, all those B words. You ready? We'll skim through it. We'll go I think guys will go in the South. You guys, whatever jumps at you. Who do you have in the final
You're going
four?
bracket by bracket?
Yeah. Or how do you?
I mean, that could just take all day. I mean, if you think we could do it, we could do it. I'm going to put plain and simple. I have one team that stands. I think there's only a handful of teams that could possibly win it.
Okay.
And I think
5
people,
to 10 teams should
I
be
think
able to win it
people
all.
get caught
Okay.
up and are like, oh, well, anybody can win it. No, not everybody's going to win it. You need a good head coach, you need a star player, and then you need some seniors.
Sure.
Agreed? My locked in is who's going to win the whole thing, so I can't reveal that just yet.
Okay.
But, okay, go your style. So who do you have? Let's go at least Elite Eight, or just give me your big teams.
Yeah, just a couple of things. From the South, I have Virginia in the Final Four from the South right off the bat. But one thing that was crazy, Arizona to me is I would have them as a Final Four team, but they have them as a 4 seed in the Virginia side of the bracket. I have Arizona losing to Virginia, so that definitely stood out to me. The bottom of the bracket, Cincinnati and Tennessee, I don't like at all. I love Arizona better than those two. They're 2 and 3s. So I have Virginia. If they can get past Arizona, they're skipping to the Final Four.
That's a tough one, though.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
definitely
a
tough
great
one.
game.
Yeah, that's a great game.
That could be a Final Four game. So that's what I got in the South. You guys
Okay.
with me without it?
No, I see it.
You see it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got Kentucky and Arizona circled as like a second-round game that I know a lot of NBA scouts will be on their way to. I believe it's Boise to go watch just because of the draft implications. But
7 NBA players in that game.
yeah, the South, Virginia and Cincinnati are 1-2 in the country in defense, so that's going to kind of be a slug-it-out game if the chalk kind of plays out. Cincinnati, being a UCF alum, I watched them. I watched Wichita State. I watched Houston a lot. The American Conference was slept on. It was a really, really strong
It's
college
underrated
basketball
conference. It is.
And I thought Cincinnati might be able to sneak in with that 4th number 1 seed, but they got a 2, which is pretty strong for that program.
Especially to me, Tennessee's the weakest 3. That's what the lines. To me, it's overvalued what number you get. It's all about matchups, and Cincinnati's in a great spot because I have Virginia going far. That's a spoiler alert, but they're not Kansas. They're not North Carolina. They're not Duke. They don't have that great coach and that legacy. So even Cincinnati playing Virginia, which is, you guys know that Virginia is the 4th team ever to not be rated preseason AP top 25. They weren't even in the top 25, and now they're the AP number 1 to go into the tournament. 4th team ever in the history. So, they could be kind of fluky, maybe some people.
Coach Bennett is such an underrated coach. They play
Defense.
just so hard, but it's a double-edged sword. It's hard to pick Virginia with a lot of confidence because they guard so well, but just one bad game. They struggle to score, and with the pace they play, just one game going cold from the field, shooting 30, 35%. And I don't know why I do this to myself every year. Arizona is just so damn sexy. They're like that girl that you just you can't trust, but you have to. Every year you fall for the same trap. They've got the number 1 player probably in college basketball, Arizona, and DeAndre Ayton. So sometimes,
he's a stud, guys.
Sometimes they've got chaos right now with their coach, with all
I'm
sorts of
cheating
stuff.
Over here. I'm looking at both your sheets. I'm like,
But-
like before you say it, I already know you're going to say it.
I don't know. I mean, I think Arizona gets hot, gets lucky, and beats Virginia and kind of embraces the chaos and marches to Final Four.
I want to call out something that nobody's talking about. Kentucky's awful this year.
I think
To
so.
their
Agreed.
standards, they're awful. And I
Agreed.
think,
Calipari is coaching
He's
them
getting
up. He is
exposed.
coaching them up.
I think he's coaching them up. I think he's getting a little
I
exposed.
don't think he's got a lot of talent. I think sometimes they rank Kentucky recruits 5 stars because they're going to Kentucky, and I don't see the Bookers, the Towns, the top NBA talent on Kentucky this year. They're very mediocre. They're very young, and I think Calipari, just to get them to win the SEC tournament, was coaching them up.
All points are valid, but my question to you would be, now that you have such a – he was known as the best recruiter in college.
Mm-hmm.
You could say Coach K is the best. Now Coach K, I feel like, has taken over that and landing Williamson. What was he on?
Zion, yep.
I always mispronounce his name. But
Coach
I
K
think he's-
lands NBA first overall picks.
Well, now, but before Calipari was really the original to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
AD.
now you have the changing of the guards where Coach K is like, okay, well, I'm going to start recruiting now. So he starts recruiting.
He embraced the one and done. Yep.
Now, is this the end of Calipari's reign in Kentucky? And it could seem like I'm a prisoner of the moment, but if you're primarily a recruiting-based school landing the top prospects, if you have a really bad year, kids in high school see that, and they're like, well, I kind of don't want to go there. Look what happened this year. Do you think this is the end of Calipari's kind of reign of getting the best players?
I mean, I don't know. A really bad year. I kind of understand what you're saying, but they did just win the SEC tournament. They're still a 5 seed. Like, how high is the bar? And, at the end of the day,
That's
it's
true.
about dollar bills. Like, people watch the draft also. And year after year after year, Kentucky players are in the lottery.
That's true.
And they're back at practice and they're on the facility. I think that's all it takes. And then
go to the NBA.
Yeah.
That's what players want to see. Now, do you think college players should get paid?
Wow, that's a question out of left field. We're doing the South region of the bracket. That's like a whole episode.
But I just hear like getting
Yeah.
paid, go to and all that stuff, and then obviously what's been going on right
Can I
now.
throw mine out there before you throw out yours? Absolutely not.
I feel absolutely.
That's horrible. They're getting a free education. They're getting paid $180,000 to go to Duke for 4 years. They are
So
getting paid.
How come the coaches can get paid but not the players?
Because it's a job. They're
So-
in school.
But people aren't coming to watch the coaches coach. They're coming to see the players play. So why should the people coaching and
Tomato,
the players,
tomato.
if we go and we're
They're
performing in
players.
front of a whole bunch of people, why would the people being like that are setting up the place get
They're
paid but not
amateurs.
the people that are? But how amateurish can they be making this much money? Millions of dollars putting on entertainment for millions of fans and not one pennies to them? Do you know how much money the NCAA has made? So I'm not saying you need to get paid NBA levels pay, but to not get any sort of income, people.
They are.
What?
They are getting income. They're getting free board. They're getting food. They're getting back massages. They're getting a watch.
No
they got
disrespect to
education.
But no disrespect to kids that get there through an education scholarship.
Wow.
They're not producing that much money for the school as these players are. How do you feel about getting paid for players?
I mean, I understand both sides of this. So the only thing I would say is, where does the line get drawn? Because it kind of
tennis player?
sounds like a Title IX lawsuit in the making. Like, football players, basketball players, men's sports, they generate a lot more money. Tickets, television revenue, jersey sales, whatever.
Female swimming.
But does that mean that you don't pay female sports? Does that mean that you don't pay men's baseball? Do you kind of put it in tiers as far as how much money the sport generates? Like, that's the logistics that I don't necessarily see, is who gets what.
I think you do, because
Is it all D1, or is it just
It sounds a
the
little
Power 5
unfair.
conference?
I think it's how much you bring in. An NBA player on the bench doesn't make as much as the star, because they're not coming to see him play. They're coming to see the star play. They're coming to see LeBron James play. College players who are putting on the major ESPN networks, those guys should get paid for what they're doing. But the players that aren't as successful, aren't that must-see TV, obviously won't get paid as those future NBA picks will be.
Max, you watched the Golden State Warrior T-Wolf game today?
Yeah.
It was a great game, right? They sold out. Steph Curry didn't play. He was
but they
hurt.
have Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson,
Yeah,
Draymond
but my
Green.
point is, do you pay Trey Young? What happens if he doesn't
Three other Hall
play?
of Famers.
Aaron, are you going to go to a UCF football game next year?
I go to all of them, season ticket holder.
It doesn't matter who the players are. Next year, the year after, it's going to be literally a 9-year-old right now will be the UCF quarterback 7 years from now. It does not matter who the players are. Aaron's going to go.
I could definitely argue that, though, because when Zion, right? Zion Williamson, when he
Mr.
comes to play,
YouTube.
when Lonzo Ball played, completely changed culture to UCLA. Tickets sold out just like that. And you think that's just because it's UCLA? No, Lonzo Ball definitely had an effect on that.
But he did get paid. The Los Angeles Lakers,
didn't
UCLA
get paid with the
gave
UCLA.
they gave him the skills, and they gave him. You have to play 1 year right now. That's the rule to play 1 year in college. They gave him the opportunity. He took.
Yeah, I don't like that one and done rule though.
No, yeah, it's
he
terrible.
took one. He
Terrible.
took a great opportunity. He was great in UCLA, and then he became an NBA professional player. They're amateurs. Like, there's just no way.
But the coaches can get paid.
it's their job.
They're
Like, that's
professional coaches.
I just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, okay, you're a great salesman. Say you graduate from high school. It's like, oh, no, you have to do this before you can get a job, even though you're ready to get a job.
That's a separate
It is.
argument.
What I'm saying is, so if you're
Because
gonna
I agree with that. High
okay,
schoolers
but what I'm
should
saying
be
is
able to
if
go
you're
to
going to
pros.
force kids to go to that, even though they're NBA ready,
They're
they
not
should at
forced.
least. Well, okay, well, there's probably
LaMelo is
it's
trying
the
to
best
do
option.
something.
It's definitely the best option to go
Agree.
there.
Agree.
So if that's
Agree.
being said, you're directed to go to this.
Agree.
If you get injured, you can't take care of your mom, even though you may have an opportunity if you went to the NBA. A lot of these kids come from poor areas that they are trying to make it to help their families. So if they get injured playing something that they don't make any income off of, they no longer can take care of their families if they get paid.
I think you're just going to start to see, at least in basketball, a lot more frequency of guys going to either the G League as they're expanding the G League or Europe or something for a year or two just
Big
to
Baller
get
Brand
paid.
League.
And then, oh, Lord, don't get me started. Because, look, college basketball is kind of a factory, and it's just nobody's going if you're going to get drafted to get an education, unfortunately. So to get back to the one and done rule, I would love to let kids, the LeBrons, go out of high school to the NBA.
Totally agree.
Totally
agree.
But
I
if
love
they
that.
go to college, just since we're talking college basketball, for
Yeah.
the better product and to actually legitimately care about school and get an education, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is.
3 years.
In college
Like football.
3 years.
You just solved the
and-
college
and,
system. I like it.
Locked in.
Because what can happen is once you get into March, I mean, these kids that are one and done, they don't have to go to class right now. Like, there's no consequences for what kind of grades. So it really isn't
Good
NCAA collegiate in the spirit of things. It's just a factory, of college to pros.
Agree. And I agree the one and done should be banned, should be disregarded, take that off the table. If you can go and fight for our country and army, or you can be the best rapper in the world, or you can become a basketball player and get paid, they should absolutely do it. But if you decide to go to Oregon or Cincinnati or South Dakota State, doesn't matter what college, you should go to that school, play out your year, and then if you're good enough, go to the pros or stay.
I like it. But I'm sorry. I know this was a kind of a big topic that we
No,
veered towards. But
We could have like an 8-hour long episode just on that topic.
Like I
It's
said,
so
but
good.
Back to the college bracket.
Okay. So that's the South. So I got Virginia. Aaron, you got Arizona. Max, you got?
Man, I don't know. I'm on the spot. I honestly looked at this before we did the episode, prep work, of course. And I'm looking at it because obviously it just got released. It's tough. I see both your points. I think Arizona could do it, but
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards Virginia.
Okay.
I am.
Okay. We'll roll then.
It's not locked in. The door's open. But
Let's roll to the West like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Tupac.
man.
Right? I think those guys rapped in the West, I think. 50-50?
Yes. Yes, they do.
R.I.P. Tupac.
You're old.
Oh, man. Jeez. It happens to us all. Xavier's the 1 seed. I thought they were going to be a 1, maybe a 2 seed, but they're the 1 seed. 2 seeds, UNC, guys. I like North Carolina a lot, throwing that out there right now. There's nothing major that jumps at me. Michigan's a week 3. They just won the Big Ten Conference. I'm like, I don't think they're a 3 seed. Throwing that out there right now, I have UNC,
Yes.
Roy Williams going
Yes.
to the Final Four.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's hands down on my part.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe they have 2 starters that played
Barry?
in back-to-back national championships. One
Atlantic
they lost
played
to
against
Villanova, and last year they won. So a lot of experience there.
Yeah.
I like Xavier a lot. The best college basketball game I saw this year was Xavier Villanova. I thought the Big East was back this year after being disbanded as a really strong, conference. I've got Houston upsetting UNC and marching to the 8, and Xavier going to the 4.
Whoa.
Kelvin Sampson, Houston, got to
What?
represent the American Conference.
Dave's examining his sheet like, what did you just say?
Look at my sheet, guys. I have San Diego State beating Houston in the first
That's
round.
a great first-round matchup.
Yeah,
Steve Fisher, coach
Yeah,
of San Diego State, used to be the coach of the Fab Five.
I have San Diego State, so that's awesome. That's a good first rounder.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
a
get
good
into
game.
that. Okay, so that's the West. We're going to go East side. I think that's where Big E wrapped and Puff Daddy. There you go, kids. Listen. Villanova's the 1 seed. To me, they're...
This is what I mean. Don't overthink it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
It's like
Villanova's
Villanova.
awesome. I'm throwing it out there right there, guys. UF is the 6th seed. I got them going back to the Elite 8. I have them upsetting Purdue, Florida Gators, my guys. But, yeah, chalking it up. Villanova goes to the Final Four.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that's
All
why
good
when
there?
I started this whole
Most
thing.
underrated coach in the country, Jay Wright. He's got a system. You know,
Stud.
he recruits his type of guys. They don't always make it in the NBA, but they play hard. They're undersized. They're solid.
They're great college basketball
Yeah.
players. And maybe, that
Although he
doesn't
does have a
translate to
couple
the NBA.
guys this year
Sure.
that'll make it in the NBA.
Bridges?
Michael Bridges,
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson, left-handed point guard. But yeah,
Bridges
great
is
coach.
getting that Kawhi Leonard talk out there.
Yeah.
Could be that borderline like 8 to
3 and
11
D.
pick.
3 and D.
Okay,
So
so
we got the
Villanova.
Midwest.
Yeah. Shout it out, Max.
Man, you know.
Oh, hold on. Before we move the East, because I got to give a shout out of what my wife is watching. I got something circled here.
Hey,
Marshall.
Lauren.
Marshall, you know, Lauren was born in West Virginia. Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody in the whole family went to Marshall. This is their first time in the tournament in over 30 years.
Wow.
And they've got a point guard, John Elmore, little white kid. If there was ever a carbon copy, Jason Williams, who played at Marshall also.
Yeah, Jay
This
Will.
kid was, I think, top 5 in the country in scoring, top 5 in the country in assists. Charleston, West Virginia,
Bringing the
could
stats.
be kind of a darling in the tournament, but that's a tough matchup with Wichita State. If they were to win, they could play West Virginia in the second round. Marshall, West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad blood in the state of West Virginia, so that's just
That'd be
something kind of
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
That would be cool.
That's who I
Hey.
have. I have Marshall and West Virginia. Maybe it's just because, to high school with Dallas Baker, the
Dallas-
touchdown maker.
Dallas Baker touchdown.
By the way,
maker,
I'm so
Marshall.
sorry, ladies
Wide
and
receiver
gentlemen. The
coach.
man that works the
Oh.
magic behind the scenes, JT Money. We got to get the sound effects after I say money, like money, like dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I should have hooked up my phone to the board. I could have done it.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
Next time we'll see JT, he's going to have this brand new locked-in green T-shirt coming. That's a spoiler alert.
Anyway, so we're good for the Midwest.
Yes, Midwest.
Look, I'm gonna jump to the chase. Is that the expression there?
This is the best bracket. Throwing this out right now.
Yeah, you have the two teams that obviously stick out to me is Duke and Michigan State.
And Kansas.
Kansas.
Those are 3
Those are
blood, just huge
to be
epic
all in the
schools.
same bracket.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's awesome. And then one of the sleepers before going, it's one of those things. I had Auburn as a dark horse Final Four, but it's like, holy shit, they got Kansas, Duke,
Yeah.
and Michigan State, so they can't do it.
I look at all three of these teams. I'm
Okay.
like, ugh, it's tough. But guys, Duke
Ooh, okay.
is the most ready to win this championship, and I'm like, without getting anything away,
Okay.
you have arguably the best player in the draft with Bagley.
Yeah, he's awesome. Marvin.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you have the best coach in the whole tournament.
I concur.
Coach K.
I agree with that. He's
You have a
Hall of Famer.
senior player who's experienced, won a championship. He's a scorer, Grayson
Zaza
Allen.
Pachulia.
Yeah, but who can actually shoot, and who doesn't deserve to be in the league, by the way, Zaza, in case you missed it. And then you just have size. If you look at this Duke team, we looked it up. I always forget his name. What was his name?
Carter.
Carter.
Yep.
Wendell
That's
Carter.
down low,
Mhm.
6'10",
He's a
254
stud.
with Bagley down low. So you got
Skilled, very
size,
skilled.
length. You got the senior. You got experience. You got a nice point guard. You got the coach.
Duvall.
Duke is winning the Midwest
Yeah.
hands down.
You know, Coach K, I mean, I don't know how many years this has been. He's got Team USA experience. He's got all this experience at Duke. These guys, they never stop coaching. And, I mean, he made an adjustment mid-season where Duke had some trouble defending. It wasn't the normal Duke team defensive system. And he switched to a zone, like one of the first times in his 30-year career.
Yeah.
And it really got them back on track.
So
That's
long and
What a
athletic.
great point.
That's kind of what I would maybe be hesitant about Bagley if we're getting back to the NBA and the draft and stuff. Is I question his length and his defense and his effort and want to, but offensively he's so skilled. Look at the lottery picks in
Could be
this
a Zach
region in the
Randolph.
Midwest. You've got Jaren Jackson Jr., one of my favorites in this draft from Michigan State. Miles Bridges, Michigan State.
Yep.
Carter,
Who stayed another
Bagley.
year. He didn't have to.
Duke. You got Trey Young in Oklahoma. So as far as scouts, this is the region where you've got some serious players.
Yeah, and Miles Bridges did not need to come back. He could have
No.
entered the draft.
He could
It
have,
was
but he was
smart
going
for him
to
to
be like
stay.
he was going to be a teen 12 to an 18 pick,
Which
he
isn't
could
bad.
be a top 10. Yeah, no, he's But the draft is stacked this year, so it's one of those things.
You saw Michael Porter Jr. come back, by the way.
I know.
12
He's in the
points, 8
tournament.
rebounds.
Yeah, he's going to be a top 10 pick.
He
will be.
was
Florida
projected
State
to be number
matched
one.
up against Florida State.
Yeah,
the
it's a
first
good
time.
matchup.
He was projected to be number
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do
When
you think-
Cleveland made it that trade, it was like they want Michael Porter.
Do you think people are looking at him to live up to the hype still?
Yes.
I mean, it was just an injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a back injury, so at that age, you just you're a little wondering what's going on because,
Little
I
hesitant.
mean, I'm in my 30s and my back's just starting to kick in now, but at 18, you really don't like to see that in a kid, and you wonder
My
if there's going
back's
to be
been acting
something reoccurring. But I think I hope he'll be all right. You don't want to see a kid that talented.
Yeah. It's sad that an injury can cause a 14-year career, Hall of Fame type of talent. He's awesome. So, okay, you have Duke in the
Yeah.
Final Four.
Yep.
Guys, I got Kansas in the Final Four.
Over Duke.
This is why it's like one of those things. I love Michigan State this year.
Iced coffee on
Like,
it.
I love Izzo and Michigan State, 2 top 5, top 7 picks. So, like, that Michigan State Duke can go either way. So, I don't want to go all in with that team because the other team could win. So, I got Kansas sliding in. Auburn, I got them beating NC State. So, I got Kansas in the Final Four. Bill Self.
I can't argue. Kansas is a solid team.
Yeah.
That's why I said that this is the toughest bracket by far, this section, but I still have Duke.
Look at the coaches in this region, too. I mean, Bill
Legends.
Self, you got Lon Kruger there at Oklahoma. He's been
Yeah.
in the Final Four with the Gators, and he's had success at Illinois and Oklahoma. I mean,
Auburn
you got Coach
is
K and Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah.
I mean, you got some
Oh
great
my
coaches
gosh.
in this.
So awesome.
region.
So we
Mr.
went through it.
Goldstone bringing in the knowledge.
You got to represent the coaches. Those are the hardest working guys in the.
That's why they deserve
building.
all the money.
Yeah.
I feel like I could coach. Deep down, I really do.
You feel like you can do everything over there.
got it
UFC
in the
fighter,
sky.
coach.
I feel like you can recruit. You've got just all
The
this
sky's the
confidence.
limit.
I want to buy
Yeah,
what
the
you're
sky's
selling.
the limit. Just be like,
Wow.
listen,
You
we
want to
have
buy some
banners.
sponsorships or locked in? We're selling, folks.
All right, so we have the Final Four.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your Final Four? Just
My- Virginia, UNC, Villanova, Kansas.
I have the same thing except Duke instead of Kansas. So
Okay.
substitute Duke into Kansas, and your
Cool.
Final Four is
Arizona, Xavier, Villanova, Michigan State.
wow.
Nice. I like. Oh, it's like the
It's
movie
crazy.
Clue. It's like Colonel Mustard with the nightstick in the professor room.
We
It's
can
like-
all disagree, but yet I see every point. That's that's why I love March Madness.
we won't go further in there because I know
No?
that you're locked in.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just leave the Final Four, and it's going to get busted anyways.
Okay.
So let's jump to the NBA.
Yeah, I'm about to say I have one debate to already just kick off this NBA.
Do you want to say
transition.
hi to anyone? Our social media platforms. You want to break this up a little bit? Say hi. How you doing out
Okay,
there,
yeah,
folks?
yeah, let's break
Locked
it
In
up.
Community, Facebook.
Yeah, like the
Donuts
community,
gift card.
like the Locked In page in order to join our live streams, to look at the legend himself, Mr. Aaron Goldstone, and
North
also
Face jacket. I like that.
subscribe
Yeah.
to our YouTube page. Give it a thumbs up. Locked In with 2 N's. I think that's pretty much it, right? Buy a T-shirt. What's the T-shirt? Do you know off the top of your head?
Shop.spreadshirt./
I don't
Locked
think you need
in.
to tell the slashes, right?
No, you do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
I
I
mean,
mean,
Not the
me.
slash in the end, though, that he always
yeah.
says.
Because some people didn't know
Shut
we
up.
had shirts.
no, I know.
So
Yeah, I usually wear it all the time, but it's a little cold out there. It's winter in Florida.
Well,
right
you
now.
know, you can get a long sleeve locked in shirt then.
Whoa.
Don't own that one,
the
do you, Dave?
producer. God dang it. I'm not a millionaire yet,
All
guys.
right, anyway, jump to the NBA. This is my
Okay.
first topic. The Houston Rockets, and I've been shout out to 104.7, by the way, Mr. Frank Scott, really supporting Locked In.
minute.
So yeah, the Locked In minute. I've been saying they're on 16-game win streak. They're playing so great with Chris Paul, James Harden, Capella. When they're all playing, they have an insane record together. And I'm hearing they're the best overall team, and they could beat the Golden State Warriors. I'm sorry, I can't even read that, to be honest with you.
We're 44 minutes in.
All right, thank
That
you.
was supposed to be secret.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, I couldn't see, so I'm sorry. Anyway, we got to get a big whiteboard. And be like, my point being is this. So the Houston Rockets, everyone thinks are a legitimate threat to the Golden State Warriors.
They are?
I'm going to say this right now, they're not.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm saying it, and I'm going to go again. And I'm not even a Golden State Warriors fan. I'm a LeBron James homer. But I don't think they have what it takes to beat the Golden State Warriors because when you watch them, they do have – I love their depth. They added Joe Johnson. They have just
P.J. Tucker.
Eric Gordon. They have P.J.
Mhm.
Tucker to add
Yep.
toughness. You got Capella. You got
Ryan
Nene.
Anderson.
Yeah, you have a legit squad. But
Chris
I
Paul, one
don't
of the
think
greatest players ever.
– unless this Curry injury really is a little more serious than we think because now 17 ankle injuries he's had, I don't think they can stop the Golden State Warriors defensively. and you can't beat the Warriors at what they do. The reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers beat them that one year was because you play physical, you attack the paint. I don't think they could do that. And I also think I see James Harden creating plays, little ISO ball. You can't do that against the Golden State Warriors. They help too much. They collapse the paint. I just think the Golden State Warriors beat this team 4-1. I don't see what everybody else sees. I think they're a legitimate team. I just don't think they match up with the Golden State Warriors. They're too stacked. They have a better bench. They have more depth. But unless the Golden State Warriors get tested in the early rounds, maybe fatigue, wear down, injuries, then you have a real series because how deep the Houston Rockets are. But am I crazy to think that they are no threat to the Golden State Warriors?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a threat. But I agree with you. I don't see them being able to match up with Golden State just like everybody else in the league. I mean, Chris Paul makes a huge difference. You know, that presence.
Don't look at me about
that
Chris
presence,
Paul.
but
Underachieving, man.
man, it's just Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I don't know. It's just it's tough. Golden State, of course, the way they score is so amazing, but it's their defense that's so underrated. And I still see Houston as an elite offensive team, an okay defensive team.
Yeah, D'Antoni doesn't make the adjustments in the playoffs like he does during the regular season.
2018, top 10 defense, the Houston Rockets.
I
Number
guess
one
it's just
offense
one
of
of
all
those
time.
things I want to see it to believe it.
Sure.
And, the regular season, there's so many awful regular season NBA teams. Everything changes in the playoffs. Plus, we can debate this, but we got to see when the playoffs start who's playing, because you always have these unfortunate injuries like we
That's
saw
true.
last year. You never know what's going to happen.
100% agree with, guys. You can't go with
And
injuries.
Chris Paul's underachieved,
Anyway.
right?
No
Let me slide that in there.
Golly. This is
I don't know about that.
We've had this
Yes.
debate. He's underachieved. That's my point.
No
We've
way.
had people agree with me.
You can't just look
and
at the
disagree.
numbers because Harden's so ball dominated. He's never played
No,
with
not
somebody
right
like
now.
that. Okay,
underachieved,
you
but
mean his career in
yes,
the playoffs?
I just think
Okay.
he's underachieved in the playoffs.
He's
Am I crazy to think that?
Yes. A Pelican and a Clipper who dragged their lonely, awful team to playoffs is a major success, and a statue will be made of this great man who plays defense, passes the ball, and scores. He had a game-winning shot against the Spurs. He loses to teams he's supposed to lose to. It's hard to win playoff series.
This is my sales pitch real quick. And I know we've debated about this countless times, but just to you.
Okay.
James Harden goes to the Western Conference Finals that's actually with Dwight Howard with the hurt back, but he's gone further in the playoffs with no All-Star on his team. Not one All-Star on his team. Chris Paul had DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, who I'm not a huge fan of, but they're good pieces, solid pieces. Before the Golden State Warriors were the Golden State Warriors. That was before they had Kevin Durant. That was before their 73-9 year. That team was brought together before that dynasty. So to not go to the Western Conference Finals as an all-time great point guard, I just think is a little underachieving.
I think 2 years ago, Blake Griffin went down in the playoffs, and they were missing him.
And Chris Paul got hurt
and
one
then
year,
Chris
too.
Paul got hurt last year in the playoffs.
With that, which is a part of it.
They had some bad luck, and they had Doc Rivers, who I'm not the biggest fan of.
Really? You're not a fan of the Doc?
They lost to the Spurs, Tim Duncan dynasty. They lost to Dirk Nowitzki dynasty.
Whoa, did
Mavericks.
you say Dirk Nowitzki dynasty?
They're just
Come on,
he's been a
that's not
top-
a dynasty.
for 12 years, the Mavericks were a top 4 seed in the West, who always won playoff series. It's hard to win. You had OKC with
Dynasty.
Westbrook and in the West. It's hard to win playoff series in the West. They got San Antonio. We got tons of teams. Golden State just recently. And you said nothing about an All-Star. Dwight Howard is an NBA Hall of Famer.
No, he's gone further in the playoffs, though, without All-Stars. He didn't have one All-Star on his team last year. But before, he did have Dwight Howard when he went to the conference finals, but he also was not the same Dwight Howard. I could argue Blake Griffin was better than what Dwight Howard was when he was on the Houston Rockets.
So you have Houston losing 4-1 to Golden State, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
hey, Dave, what do you have more?
I remember you said you had the Thunder in the...
The Thunder has a shot, but I'm going to Houston right
He
now.
said Thunder in the finals. That's
They
what
might.
I'm putting you on blast for. They're not winning a series this
Their
year.
bench is better than Golden State, correct? Houston's?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'll take it.
Golden State's got a pretty good bench.
Yeah,
They have a good
they
bench.
show
but
up when they
Houston's-
need to show up.
Because Eric Gordon's the easy best bench player in the NBA, and they have depth on the bench too. Joe, PJ, good defensive, good role players. I think Houston's got the best bench in the league. That's just my 2 cents. They are the number 1 offense in the history of the NBA.
But let's not get it twisted. That's regular season offense.
Okay.
When it comes playoff
Sure.
time, it's completely different.
They have the MVP on their team, and
I have 2 MVPs on the Golden State Warriors.
old MVPs. But this year, right now, James Harden is the best basketball player alive this season.
No, that's still not true. Because just because you win an MVP doesn't make you the best basketball player alive. When Derrick Rose won it, he wasn't better than LeBron James.
he's the most valuable player to their team this year.
Most valuable and best is two different things,
Okay,
though.
valuable.
Okay.
So if you took Harden off or Durant, my point is they have the best bench, they score the best, and they have the best player on the court going for their team.
I would still take the Golden State's offense though in the playoffs
Okay, you might.
because their foot is off the gas during the regular season.
They're the favorite. Like, I'm not saying they should lose. I just think Houston's got a shot. I really do think that.
So do you go 6 games, 7 games?
Yes.
I hope you're right. I really do because I want the Golden State Warriors to be worn down. I want LeBron James to be rested, and I want LeBron James to win his 4th ring. I just don't see it happening.
You have
I don't.
You have any cool, fun stories of the West? You like Portland? Portland's playing awesome. We talked about this before you got in here, Aaron. The Minnesota Timberwolves is going to be such a hard out. They're not going to win a playoff series like whoever they play in the 3 through 10 is one game away. It's a mixed mash. It's a jigsaw puzzle. But whoever Minnesota plays, they're going to lose to. But, God, they're so good. Like, they're a really good team. When Butler comes back healthy, they're awesome.
I take this team over the Thunder.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tibbs, he plays his starters so many minutes, and
Yeah.
sometimes his knock, even when he was with Chicago's, he wears his veterans down. And they, unlike some of these other teams you mentioned, they don't have the bench, that some of these other teams. And again, it works in steps. Minnesota hasn't been there yet with this core of Wiggins and Towns, and so they'll get in and they might win a couple games here or there, but they're probably still a year away and some pieces away from really being in that same level as Golden State and as Houston. Oklahoma City's got the star talent, in Westbrook and in Paul George. It's just, the pieces don't fit as nicely as you would hope. I was hoping when they made the Paul George and the Anthony trade that they could scare Golden State a little bit, but it just hasn't worked out the way that you would have wanted to see it.
He's a Laker next year.
Like you said, Steph Curry, if he's healthy, his ankle will be something to watch. But if he's healthy, they're going to march right back to the finals, I think. But
I have a proposal or just a big debate here.
Okay.
LeBron James' destination free agency is obviously what everyone's talking about. You have Philadelphia saying complete the process, and the Lakers are like, forget process, we have banners. Then you have the Rockets are a contender, the Cavs. Tell me why, and I understand why it's an immediate no about the Timberwolves. But if LeBron went there, you'd have LeBron James. This would be your starting lineup. You'd have LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jeff Teague.
Let me give you the
Is
easy.
that not an insane starting lineup that matches up with any team in the NBA?
They're over the salary cap
yeah, I don't
right
think
now.
they'd have enough for
They have no money. It just doesn't work money-wise.
Not one player in there could be like, you know what? I'll take a little bit of a cut. The greatest player of all time comes to my team. We win a ring.
NBA, in the NFL, you could do that. Tom Brady could say, hey, sign Odell Beckham Jr., I'll take $8 million. NBA can't. If they
LeBron could. LeBron could.
As the free agent. But
Yeah.
as they can't, Karl Anthony Towns right now can't say, I'm going to redo my deal for next year's cap.
LeBron could, though. If you're LeBron, you don't consider that?
No. Because I'm just throwing it out there. Going to Minnesota, that's great. No, they're a championship easily contender. That doesn't guarantee you a championship.
Well, I don't think anywhere you go guarantees you a championship.
Well, if he
with
goes
the
to Golden State, it
Warriors.
guarantees him a championship. So if he would do
not
that,
going
he would go to Golden State. I'm just as your theory. I'm throwing
Yeah.
your theory out there.
No, good point.
Minnesota doesn't lock him in
So where does he go?
as a championship. You ready?
Yeah.
I know where he goes. It's over. We're recording this, right? Is this live? He's going to stay home at Cleveland. It's so easy. I don't know why this is a thing.
Oh, that's no fun. Come on.
You
He
think
left
he stays?
Miami to go back home. He's staying, guys. He's not going anywhere.
Well,
It
the only thing I'll say to that is he left Miami to go back home to win a championship, which he's done.
Yeah.
So I think he's at a point in his life where he's just got to make a decision. Do I have one more move and reinvigorate my career, or do I just finish my career in Cleveland? There's a lot of pressure playing at home, and just that whole dynamic of being around all of these people that know you from back in the day, that want a piece of you. And look, he's LeBron James, so he wants to be this movie star. He could do that from anywhere.
Sure.
It's easy to say he's going to go to Los Angeles and get involved in the movies and all that, but he could pretty much do that anywhere. I still think I see Los Angeles as a destination because he likes Los Angeles and that's where he wants to live, and he could live there in the
market.
off season. But it's just it's easier, and I think it's it's convenient, and I think the Lakers will have room.
It's a lot of pressure,
and
though.
I think he will have more success recruiting other stars to come to Los Angeles than he's getting recruiting people to come to Cleveland.
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
That's the market,
That's actually
the
the
glamour,
best
the
point
weather.
ever locked in history. That's a really good point. Real quick, what you said about him leaving and the pressure of him playing at home. The season he disliked the most was the first year in Miami. Because, like, when he went, they made him the villain. He didn't like that. LeBron is kind of, he wants to get loved. He wants the kids to have him sign his LeBron's on the way out of the locker room. That's what LeBron wants. So if he stays in Cleveland, he's like this hometown legend, staying at home. He walks to the NBA Finals for 3, 4, 5
But
more
keeps
years
losing.
easily.
It
Guys,
sucks. I'm a LeBron fan, but that
Seattle
is the notch
Seahawks
on
were going to
him.
win 5 Super Bowls, and that happens quick.
And that is a
If
huge
Cur-
notch on them for not
If
doing it.
Curry gets hurt and Clay wants out to go to LA because LeBron doesn't, Golden State happens quick. They can end quick. And
This is
everyone
a
has to
different
lock
group,
in them
though.
into this championship. I don't. I think Houston's got a shot. I think Cleveland's got a shot. It's hard to win championships. Golden State's got 2, one with Durant. Like, they're
I
not
think-
a dynasty yet.
I think you're underestimating Golden State, actually, if that's
Okay.
possible, because I think this is a different group. First of all, first ever team to have 4 Hall of Famers. Instead of just like the big 3, you have a big 4. And then they're all selfless guys that gel well together. This isn't your
Agree.
LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh. This is people that are not big egos, know their role.
They all have a spot.
That's what I'm saying. And
Sure.
that's why if they win another championship, I don't know if they're going to disassemble the way other super teams have. If I'm LeBron, though, going to Los Angeles, I think there's almost more pressure, though, because if you go there and you don't succeed, you're not succeeding in one of the biggest franchises ever, and you made another move, and I still think he's the best player in the world, but he only has a handful of years left. You don't have time to do that whole gel, work out the chemistry type. You need a success now.
Yeah.
But if he stays in Cleveland, what free agent can he get to put him over the top? Because this move is kind of... For right now, for this season, there's no more moves to be made.
Yeah, I mean, the Kyrie trade did not work out, and so that was a big step back. And, I mean, you can make an argument now that Boston and maybe Toronto, one of those see it to believe it things, but that they've closed the gap where it was just if you've got LeBron James, you're marching to the East. And now at least there's a little resistance there.
Sure.
Where it's not going to be as easy. It's probably still easier than to get to the finals in the West, but you get a couple stars that come to Los Angeles. You know, Lonzo Ball is there, and he kind of distributes. And the other part of this is the coaching dynamic. You know, like, does LeBron James want to go and play for Luke Walton? Is there like another coach out there? Because, you know, that matters, you know, at this point of your career.
Greg
like
Popovich.
when that's his guy, you know, that really is.
Yep.
You know, he doesn't shy away from telling anybody that wants to hear that he thinks he's the best coach in the NBA. And you know, so, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Back to what you said, a free agent. Like Kemba Walker. Him in Cleveland.
Makes sense, I guess.
what about
Butterflies.
it? I don't think that
There-
puts him over the top over Golden State.
There's always players out there, and then pretty soon, give it another year or 2, there's going to be players like a Paul George, or there's going to be players who you don't think, they're not chasing rings yet, but give it 2 more years, and Damian Lillard's like, guys, I'm in Portland, I've never won a playoff series, I'm going to Cleveland.
I think it's a legitimate point.
DeMarcus
but
Cousins.
We're putting a lot of faith in LeBron James, but a lot of the time, the faith has to be in the front office.
He's earned
I
my
don't.
faith.
No, he has earned my faith too. But the people that make the moves is the front office, and do you trust the front office?
They
I
made
think
great moves
I think
this
the
trade deadline.
I think the general manager has proven that he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
But him and Dan Gilbert, when you don't have a good relationship there, that can collide. The team was up for sale. Supposedly that story kind of died down. Dan Gilbert and him hit their relationship. They yell at each other. That's a serious thing to consider.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Plus, it's Cleveland. Like L.A., Sunshine, Cleveland.
Aaron
I
won
know,
that one.
I know that's
Aaron
where
won
he's
that
from,
one.
but I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have
So
to
LA
love
is
where
number
you're from.
2.
Yes. To me,
Yeah,
there's...
like you guys both say LA is definitely number 2, not the 76ers, not the Spurs, not the Rockets.
Okay, let me throw those 3 out right away. 76ers, no way.
It could work. You're
I
saying
don't-
no way. I think it could.
No way. I think, look, Ben Simmons is awesome. He's going to be an NBA Hall of Famer. Joe Embiid, if he stays healthy, and I hate saying that, if he does, he's an NBA all-time great center. I love him, but love those 2. LeBron, Simmons, and Embiid don't work. Those 3 don't They're all 6'9", 6'11", not great shooting, slashing, dribble the ball. It just doesn't
Ben
work.
Simmons can't shoot.
Yeah,
at
can't
all.
shoot. It just so Philly doesn't work, and they're super, super young, like way too young. Like at least LA is going to
They're
they
just
will
as
get
young.
Paul. No, they're going to get Paul George. So you're going to get a superstar who's a 9-year veteran. Philly can't add a Paul George.
They could. They actually could. I'm serious. They could. In the free agent market, if LeBron signs, they would have enough room to get another one.
But what players
They
going
pay,
to Philly?
They pay Redick. If LeBron James goes to Philly with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, that is definitely attractive for a
Throw
free
me a
agent.
name.
Paul George.
Paul George ain't going to Philly.
If LeBron were to go
It ain't
there,
sunny in
and
Philly.
okay, but if you have LeBron James, it's sunny anywhere.
Damn, good call.
I'm just saying, if you have LeBron, Embiid, Simmons, and Paul George, that's an all-time great team.
I don't think it works. And here's my Houston. And I love Houston going this year. James Harden will be the MVP. He likes to dribble the ball.
No
He
chance
wants the
LeBron
bonus
wins
hands.
that, by the way.
Zero shot. That's locked in. James Harden's the MVP. There's just not enough time left, and Houston's got the best. If they lose the rest of their games, I still think they have a better record than Cleveland.
New Orleans was on the come up for a few weeks, and Anthony Davis was putting insane numbers up. And I think he made a little bit of a push for MVP. He just got hurt, and he's kind of been in and out of the lineup. His numbers since Cousins went down have been ridiculous.
Fantasy basketball
He's
numbers.
basically been just putting like an organization on his back, and that's a team that was a fringe playoff team that's now like
four
I think
seed.
a 4 or
Yeah,
5 seed in the West. So,
He's
know,
a
he
second,
has
third
to
place
get
guy.
some consideration, but Harden is definitely in the
Yeah.
lead.
So Harden, and then Chris Paul, point guard, dribbles the ball a lot. LeBron to Houston doesn't work. You can't have 3 guys have the ball at all times. Like 2 works because then there's for 48 minutes it's Harden or Paul dominating the ball, getting whoever they want open. If you have 3 players, it just that doesn't gel. I don't think that works.
I typically would agree with that, but when you have 3 insanely smart basketball IQs, I think they make it work. I really do. But the only problem is you're getting rid of so much depth.
Yeah.
that it may not even be worth it.
They would have to kill Eric Gordon and Capella or Ryan
For
Anderson.
LeBron, you would
and-
do it. But
Of course, but then that you have 3 studs and that's it.
all right, is there any other things you guys want to hit in the NBA
Yes.
before we get locked in?
Yeah, I got
What's
it.
your thing?
Yeah. Are the Toronto Raptors, are they for real?
No. I've been fooled by the Toronto Raptors year after year after year. They're a great regular season team. They show up. DeMar DeRozan's having his best year.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
But-
really good.
Who
So-
on that team guards LeBron? One,
Okay.
nobody. And secondly, they always seem to not overcome anything in the playoffs. As far as matching up with LeBron, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they may be serious compared to the rest of the East. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Boston Celtics.
Okay, so you have them in the Eastern Conference Finals then.
It's like 50-50 them or the Celtics. I don't know the seeding.
They're the
arrangement.
1 seed. Boston will be the 2, so they won't play each other to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it'll be Toronto, Cleveland, or Toronto, Boston.
Oh, then
That's what-
yes, it's
they're walking-
Toronto
Okay, that's what I got.
and Cavs.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Do you give Houston more of a shot to beat Golden State or Toronto more of a shot to beat Cleveland? Damn, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
God,
Just because I don't
that's a
think
great
I don't-
question.
I just don't think
I
any of
should
them
get
have a
paid for
shot to
this.
beat any of them. I can't
Okay.
see LeBron losing in the East, and I can't see Golden State losing. I
Yep.
think the Rockets have a better shot of beating the Warriors than the Raptors do of LeBron.
Give me a percentage. Throw me a
The
number.
Rockets beating the Warriors is
Yeah.
like 20%.
Okay, that's good. Oh, I take that.
Yeah,
okay,
like that's
cool.
20%. The
What do-
Raptors beating LeBron is like 5.
5%. Aaron?
I got to give Toronto credit for improving the last 2 or 3 years. Every year they fix,
A little
pieces on their
piece.
team where they add some depth here or there. I think sometimes they play a little bit too big, too center heavy, and I wish they would play a little bit smaller and more athletic. They prey on some bad teams in the East, and their record always looks great.
Yep.
And then they get in the playoffs, and Kyle Lowry just he is a guy that, when things are going well and he's shooting and he's making baskets, it's great, but he puts up some awful numbers in the playoffs, poor shooting percentages. And
Not
DeRozan
reliable.
is another guy who's improved a ton, but he's kind of a low percentage, 2-point shooter, doesn't have that 3-point game. And while they're a great organization and I love kind of what they've been doing, they don't have the star power to overcome a LeBron James where look, Cleveland's down a little bit, but he by himself could still beat a Toronto, I think.
Exactly.
I like the pieces Boston has put together a little bit more. They've got star power with Kyrie Irving. They're athletic. Toronto, I don't think they're that well coached. I hate to say that. It's just
I agree.
I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I appreciate what they've done the last few years, but it's just I don't count them to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Percentage of
What's like how he had Toronto at 5%, Houston at 20%.
I would give Toronto maybe a 25-30% chance to beat Cleveland. In a 7-game series, they'll pick up 2 games. Maybe.
Okay, that's not bad. That's decent.
I mean, they'll compete. They're not. I mean, they're legit. It's just I just don't see
Got
the
the king.
ceiling there for.
LeBron is easily the best player in the series, like by far. And that's just in a basketball game. He can touch the ball whenever he wants, play defense. He plays 45 minutes. It's tough.
Last question I have for the NBA.
Sure. And then JT has his March Madness, and I like it, so he's going to throw it out there.
Nice. Does
Okay.
LeBron James have any shot at beating the Golden State Warriors?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of that will depend on Kevin Love. When he comes back, how healthy he is. We saw LeBron a few years ago basically take on Golden State by himself. That was before Kevin Durant got to Golden State.
Yeah, triple-double, 35
Kyrie
plus
was
points,
out.
he still
I think
doesn't win.
Kevin Love was out, and then he pretty much was by himself. But they depth you to death. Golden State. There's just so many matchups that you have to account for. And, I mean, George Hill's fine. Some of the bench pieces Cleveland picked up, Rodney Hood, Larry Nance, that's fine. But, it's a
Not
different
enough.
level. It's a different level when you get to the Final Four teams in the NBA, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. LeBron can only do so much. And while he might be able to keep his team in the contention in the East, I don't think he can compete by himself with the Western teams.
Yeah, I agree with the point where he's already averaged 35-plus points in a triple-double and still lost. So I don't think he can average 40 points in a triple-double. It's just there's nothing more he can do. He can play an A+++ and still doesn't beat the Warriors because you need more help. I think the players they've acquired help them, more athletic, better defensively, but not enough to overcome the Warriors. And I hate saying it. I really do. I just don't think it's enough.
They got a shot. You got LeBron James. You got a shot. I think they're deeper. I like Larry Nance. He's
A better Tristan Thompson.
and he's got good momentum. I like where they're going. Guys, all it takes is one injury to Clay or Curry or Durant. It happens.
Maybe Zaza
No,
injures his own teammate by accident again.
It does happen. And then, guys, 3 years ago, Kyrie got hurt, or Cleveland could have won that first one. So injuries happen. It's a long, long series, and they're going to have to – the Warriors guys are going to have to play the Thunder, then maybe the Spurs, and then the Rockets. That's
Even though I think the
freaking
Thunder-
murderer's row.
Thunder may even get swept in that series, but I think they play physical and wear them out a little bit.
That's what I
Adams down low, pounding them, and then you have Melo who plays rough.
It could be tough, and then Cleveland steals one in Golden State, then they play 3 straight in Cleveland. You never know.
He wins game 1 this year, that's for sure. Never been done in his
Ooh.
finals history. I think for some reason he wins game 1.
I like Cleveland, guys. I'm sticking with
Gotta
them.
get there first, though.
Ooh.
He'll get there.
JT, the producer. March Madness is around the corner. We all talked about ours. I looked at your bracket, and I'm like, oh, my God, we got to get this on the podcast. I love
Straight
it.
upsets?
This is good. This is
Great
awesome.
upsets. All upsets.
What's your Final Four?
Final Four, I got Kentucky, Michigan, Virginia Tech, and NC State.
Damn.
I love it.
That's
What?
the bracket that's going to end up winning.
I know. NC State I love as a big upset. They're the 9 or the 8 seed, and I like them beating. You have them upsetting Kansas. That could happen. Like, that's a legitimate upset. Kentucky just won the SEC. They got NBA players. I see that's a possibility.
I'm telling you, that's where March Madness is so great. You could say things, I'm like, what in the world? But you end up being right. It's like, I have to respect it.
I'll
By
put
the way,
a,
shout out to
stick and
Sean. Our producer's not here, right? Well, we have JT Money, but the other Sean, or the Sean, is not here. So just want to say, Sean, I hope you're listening eventually, and you have a great trip. I had to shout Sean out.
He's drinking beyond drinking right
Mai
now.
Tais
Good
and
for
pina
him.
coladas.
I know.
And
I wish I was there.
He's like, you guys talk NASCAR? And we could be like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
did, Sean.
Yeah. Oh,
Actually,
we talked NASCAR for an hour and a half.
I
Sean.
know it was off mic, but it's fine.
Left, turn left, turn
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
Is it that time to get
Yeah,
locked
just
in?
real quick, big shout out to my son Colin. I think he's watching or should be watching. He told me he was going to watch, and he's probably watching Blaze or something like that, or Bubble Bumpies or something. No, he was at the hospital all day today. It was crazy. He had an allergic reaction. I got my little bracelet on. I'm going to keep that on for a day or two to look cool for the kids. But
I always
yeah,
keep those
man.
on too.
Yeah, man. It was a wild night. It was
Weeks.
not good.
Weeks.
Yeah, not
Weeks.
good. It
I
was a crazy
literally
night,
keep
but
on
he's better
weeks.
now, folks. Thanks. I got like Facebook. People were like texting me all day. It was really cool.
Oh.
People like I was like, oh man, I'm kind of liked. I think so.
You're a cool kid.
Oh, thanks, man. So is Colin. Good kid. I like him. All right, you guys ready to get locked in?
I hope you like
He's
him.
my kid.
But, yeah, I'm ready to get locked in. By the way, JT Money, not trying to put you on the spot. Do you have a locked in this episode? Just if you don't, no problem. But if you do, I just
I will come back to me. I'll think
Okay,
about
I'll come
something.
back to you. Am I starting it off, or is it guess first?
Guess first.
I think you were prepared, though.
Yes, I was.
You want me to go first?
No, I got this.
Okay.
So, my locked in, and this is going to be a memorable one, so I'm sure you guys will call me out if it doesn't happen. This will be the year that LeBron James's reign in the Eastern Conference ends. My locked in is the Boston Celtics will make it to the NBA Finals behind Kyrie Irving,
Couldn't disagree
Jalen
anymore.
Brown,
Who's guarding LeBron?
Al
Can we just
Horford?
get into that? Who's guarding LeBron?
Jalen Brown, Jason
I love
Tatum.
Jalen Brown, but he's not going to guard LeBron. And then people fall in love with the Celtics because Brad Stevens is probably the best coach in the NBA. Almost he's
Still,
up there.
the window's open. Still, Gordon Hayward could come back. Hasn't been officially
I don't
ruled
think
out.
they try
would
to
be-
squeeze him in there. I don't. But even if they do, I still didn't have him beating him just because after Kyrie, who do you go to for scoring?
It's a great point.
Horford, Tatum.
Tatum's
I'm
hit
not
that
saying that
rookie
we're confident.
wall.
I don't rely on
Horford's a
Horford in the
18-point
playoffs.
guy.
Solid player, but I just don't think he's a go-to type guy if your
I just
option one's going down.
It's more of a default because I just at some point with all the chaos that Cleveland has had this year, I know they made some improvements. I know they got younger, more athletic. Little chaotic with the coach, little chaotic with the personnel. I feel like this is not their year. I feel like they really undervalued how important Kyrie Irving was to that franchise, and I just feel like at some point, it's going to end, and I feel like it's going to be this year.
I respect you're locked in because you were locked in, but I do agree with you on one point is if you're wrong, I am getting on you. So I'll agree with
Like
that
if
one.
they get swept out of the playoffs,
Yeah,
I
like,
know I'll
hey,
hear from you guys.
Aaron, time to get in the studio.
And
right
then
now.
Brad Stevens is my boy. That guy
Yeah,
can
great
coach his butt
freaking
off.
coach.
He's awesome. If Cleveland gets like swept by
LeBron's going to
Washington,
the
we'll be like,
Celtics. LeBron to the Celtics.
Kazu, you want me to go or you
Yeah.
want to go? Okay. My locked in is March Madness, guys. The brackets were just released. Next week, there's nothing better than that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 straight days, upsets, crazy games. I love Virginia. I have Virginia winning the national championship. I'm throwing that out there. I got Virginia, UNC, Villanova, Kansas. So that means my locked in is that Duke, a big-time favorite. They're actually the Vegas #1 odds that the people think will win it all. I do not have Duke making it to the Final Four. They won't make it. That's my locked in.
Well, my locked in is the complete opposite of that, and I think Duke wins the whole thing. And I think this is one of those years where, brackets are going to get messed up as always, but I think this is one of those where, listen, let's not try to overthink it too much. Like I said, best coach, arguably the best player, if not definitely top pick, NBA player, size, athleticism. They have that veteran senior in Grayson Allen, whether you hate him or love him. He may be cheap, but he
He's
can
a
still get
punk.
you a bucket.
He's locked out. Remember that? I locked Grayson Allen out like the
Day
4th
one,
episode.
yeah. Day one. He probably is listening right now.
Here's the matchup. If Oklahoma gets by their first round game, they've only won 2 games in 2018. They've only won 2 of their last 15. I don't know how they're even in the tournament. But if they win, Oklahoma plays Duke in the second round. Duke has found a little bit of success playing zone. Do you zone Trae Young and let him just rip you apart? Do you box and one? That would be a great matchup to watch Trae Young. versus
Entertainment
Koke
right there, yeah.
and then Duke.
I love Trae Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's really good. He's going to be a top 10 pick. And then, guys, that Duke, Michigan State, Sweet 16 matchup. Holy crap.
Yeah, so I think
That's-
Duke wins it all.
Okay.
Coach K, solidified if he isn't already, is the greatest coach of all time.
Good. Awesome. Aaron, what website? How do people contact you if they want to see you at the game to get an autograph or a picture? How do they do it?
Twitter at Aaron Goldstone, and write for Orlando Pinstripe Post. It's part of SB Nation. Yeah.
Nice.
Come check it out.
Awesome.
And lastly, make sure you tell the Orlando Magic franchise that Locked In is getting on them, so it's putting a little pressure on them. They're in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Make sure you
Time to
like.
turn it around.
Now they're gonna be like, wait, Locked In's hearing us?
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
they're-
We have to make some moves.
You guys don't want to hear my locked in?
Oh,
That's right. My bad.
You done
Go.
forgot about me.
Let's
I'm
go,
over here
let's go,
making sure the
JT.
levels are. I'm going Michigan takes it all.
Dang,
I like
that's
it.
not
Big Ten
crazy.
champion.
That's not crazy. I'll take it.
Michigan,
Make sure
Duke, Virginia,
Villanova.
Villanova.
I'm the only one picking Duke. I'll take it. Like us on Facebook, Locked In with 2 N's, the Locked In page. Join the group, the Locked In community, to debate with us. Is Lonzo Ball superstar? Did Chris Paul underachieve? Yes.
Why Michigan
And-
State's going to take it all?
Why Michigan State may take it all. Why
Yeah.
Duke may take it all. Also follow us Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere. Locked In with 2 N's. Make sure you check out the man himself, Aaron Goldstone. And shout out to 104.7 again. Make sure you check them out every day at 8:35 a.m. is the Locked In Minute.
And you know that they can call us, Max, right?
Or text.
It'd be bad if I said I didn't know, so I know. Let's go.
386-516-0495. Slide right into those DMs.
Pleasure having you on, sir.
Yeah,
And you're
thanks,
always
guys.
welcome.
I'd love to
Remember,
come back around the playoffs, around the draft, talk a little NBA draft lottery.
And when you're wrong about your Locked In,
Yeah.
you'll be in the studio then
Yep.
too.
No, but Aaron does have one of the greatest locked-in calls ever. Jimmy Butler traded to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Great call. So, yeah, around the draft time, a week before the NBA draft, we'll have your top 10 mock draft. We'll get you
Absolutely.
back on. We love it. Look at that banner, guys. We are Locked In Sports Podcast. And like always, stay locked in.
Yeah, you now locked in with the best. We ain't rocking with the rest. And when it's game time, we gon' put you to the test. Come the ball, we hitting it, kicking it, or we dribbling, passing it, or we running, or it's the ring that we flip you in. So what's the news? You want the scoop? You gotta keep it locked to David Max podcast through your speaker box. What's poppin', my friend? You know the drop in. And the only thing left to do is keep it locked in.